I'm Steve Walker Duncan, and I'm on a quest. As a professional chef for 25 years and an instructor at the Camosun College Culinary Arts program, I truly believe we have some of the best food in the world right here on the West Coast. Join me in discovering some of these culinary treasures. This week we're in the beautiful Fraser Valley on a Circle Farms bicycle tour. My guide today is Lisa Clement from the Vancouver Coast and Mountain Tourism Region. So Lisa, you've got the map?
I do.
Let's go.
Let's go. Well, hello, puppy.
How you doing?
Well, we're here on the Circle Farm Tour in Agassiz, and basically the Circle Farm Tours is a self-guided tour to all of the great farms and specialty markets and vendors throughout the Fraser Valley. And each community throughout the valley has its own guided tour, and you can go by car or by bicycle like we are today.
So this is fabulous. I mean, it's so flat and easy to cycle, isn't it?
Well, it is the Fraser Valley, so the valley often is flat.
Yeah. I spoke too soon. It's mostly flat. Still, the good thing about cycling uphill is that you get to go down the other side. First stop on our Fraser Valley tour is Canadian hazelnut in Agassiz. This is another of those things I didn't know are grown in Canada, but it turns out the conditions are just right in the Fraser Valley. Hi, how are you?
Awesome.
The farm store is the place to get your taste buds working on all their nutty concoctions.
This has come off the tree. Put it in the nut cracker. This is your nut. Okay? The same as the kernel. You may have that if you'd like to try.
Thank you.
Out back are the orchards.
We have 68 acres of trees here.
So how many trees are on 68
Haven't
acres?
counted them all, but we're looking between 7,000 and 8,000, give
Wow.
or take.
That's a lot of hazelnuts.
It is.
How long have the trees been here?
These ones were planted in 1980 and 1981.
Okay.
They should have a lifespan of 50 to 100 years.
So you got a fair few years left out of this.
I got a couple more years of doing this, yeah.
Have you had coffee today?
Not for a few hours.
Well, you have to try one of our coffee hazelnut.
Fabulous. Tastes like coffee.
Oh.
So what's the process of growing hazelnuts? I mean, is it labor intensive?
No, it's fairly simple. The trees do their own thing out there. We prune them, take all the suckers off. You can see they're starting to grow back already.
Okay.
Mow the grass. Because we're 100% certified organic, no chemicals, no sprays,
Right.
no fertilizer. All we do is let the trees do their own thing. When they're ready, the husk dries out, the husk opens up and just drops the nut onto the ground.
Does all the work for you?
Yeah, it does all the work. Yeah, it's always windy in Agassiz in the fall,
Yeah.
so that helps too. Shakes the trees, all the nuts fall on the ground.
Right.
Then we drive the harvester over top, which picks up the nuts, loads them into a trailer, and then brings them into our processing area. Wash them, dry them. We've got a large natural gas-fired dryer in there where we can dry 60,000 pounds of nuts at a time.
Holy cow.
Then we got our great beer nuts. Then we go to a dry roast.
Those are some really nice flavors. What is it that makes hazelnut growing fun for you?
Well, it's a lot of time outside,
Yeah.
back to nature, spend a lot of time on the tractor, and it beats having a regular job.
Then we go to the salted. The cinnamon sugar. The famous barbecue. Citrus delight. Those are really nice. Now you won't need lunch today. You'll have to book it later on because I have lots to go.
Okay, while I'm here, there's one thing I've always wondered about hazelnuts. Hazelnuts are small and very hard. How do you get the shells off them?
It's all mechanical,
Right.
just a metal wheel with an adjustable metal wheel.
Okay.
So you can adjust for the size so that you break the shell and don't break the kernel.
Shells drop off, kernels go through, and everything's good.
Yep. And then the shells blow outside. We donate them to local charities here.
Oh.
They use them around their flower beds to keep the slugs out and so you don't walk in the mud.
Okay, awesome. So where next? Okay, I'm following you. I'm on a Circle Farms bicycle tour in the Fraser Valley, and the next stop is Limbert Mountain Farm. This small farm has been in the same family since 1902 and has its own restaurant featuring food grown on the farm. I sat down with Trudy Bouchard to find out more.
Well, Trudy, what kind of things do you grow here? I mean, I can see stuff everywhere, but what's your specialty?
Hundreds of different kinds of herbs.
Okay.
Garlic is a big deal. Pretty much self-sufficient as far as food goes.
Okay.
So we have a bistro that we are open on the weekends, and we grow pretty much everything we need for that, as vegetables, the herbs, raise our own Cornish game hens, our own turkeys.
Oh, fabulous.
Our chickens lay the eggs, our daughter raises our beef, and yeah, so we pretty much have everything we need to eat.
So you're kind of taking the 100-mile diet and scaling it down to what, half a mile?
I don't know, how far is it to those greenhouses, maybe? I don't know.
I mean, I gather there's quite an educational component here to
Very much.
help people to be self-sustainable.
Yes, yes. We teach classes. We teach wild herb walks in the spring. We go up on the mountain trails, and I teach them about the different weeds that they can pick and which ones they can eat, which ones make a good tea. We do talk about the medicinal side, but mostly it's about eating them. But we also talk about organic gardening and why that's really important, and just gardening in general, growing something for yourself and knowing where your food comes from. I would really prefer turning people on to even just growing small amounts just to eat and enrich their diets and enrich their lives.
And the wonderful thing with herbs is you can grow them in very small areas. You don't need a massive garden to grow them, do you?
Yeah, pots and containers, anybody with a balcony, even a lot of people buy basil and just grow it on their windowsill if they've got a sunny window. You don't have to have outdoor gardening space.
All this wonderful fresh produce is making me hungry. So we're off to the farm restaurant, which looks like a barn from the outside. But inside, holy cow, look at this. We're in the barn, this is fabulous. Chef Claude Bouchard has the menu all planned out.
Today we're going to start with a plate of rustic Italian bread with rosemary and oregano, served with a garlic tarragon butter. We're going to do a Rossum salad, which is our signature salad on the farm. It's ever-changing.
Right.
It's got whatever we can grow, whatever is fresh. Today it's served with a fresh blackberry basil dressing. And then the main plate today is a pita stuffed with a falafel-style burger. It also has quinoa in the burger and hazelnuts.
I can't wait.
Let's get busy.
Okay.
We're going to start with the Rossum salad.
Okay.
There's kale, there's beet tops, there's about 4 types of lettuces that we grow here. Farmhouse natural cheeses.
Okay.
It's a producer in Agassiz. Yeah, this is their goat feta, an award winner for her cheeses, and I believe Barack Obama has sampled and the Queen has sampled this year. So these are heirloom variety tomatoes that are grown in our greenhouse.
And this is some of the famous Fraser Valley corn?
Agassiz has the best corn in the world. No, that's just a bit of a brag, but I truly believe it. Locally grown cucumbers, locally grown red peppers, as much as we can source from local, that's what we want.
And some blueberries.
I don't think you need to add anything more to that.
No, no.
That is a nutritious meal in itself.
That looks fantastic.
So just your standard whole wheat pita.
Okay.
I have a bit of a mayonnaise aioli, and it's with our basil pesto, vintage whole seed mustard. Just enough to enhance the flavor of the falafel burger, but not overwhelm it.
So what was that last one you put on there, Claude? That was...
This one is, it's one of my secrets.
Okay, okay.
No.
It's greenish. I'm gonna guess sage.
Garlic scape,
Okay.
dehydrated,
Right.
ground, that's all.
So rather than putting the corn on the plate and having a pat of butter,
We're gonna just drizzle
really
it
well
right
buttered.
here.
Look at that.
That is a nutritional yeast.
Okay.
I won't mention brand names, but it's got a very cheesy, nutty flavor.
Sea salt.
It's kosher.
Kosher.
I'm not sure if it's C. Now, a couple of these.
Just look at that. Oh. A little bit of tomato
A
for
little
some
bit
color.
of color.
I can't say it enough, but I just love the colors. I think the colors are just to die for these plates. Okay. That is a cob of buttery goodness. That is so sweet.
and tender and succulent. Now, I'm going to try this falafel here. Get that falafel. Excuse me, you guys can all go away now. I'm just going to carry on. Farming is big business in the Fraser Valley. Although the fertile floodplain of the Fraser River makes up less than a third of BC's agricultural land, it generates more than half its total revenues, more than $1 billion a year. All of this activity creates a lot of animal waste. But behind Chris Bush's farm, something mysterious has appeared. We have a bit of a surprise around the corner, I see.
Yes, a little bit of a different animal, and a service to a lot of the other farms as well. This is called an anaerobic digester, where we process the residuals from 5 local farms. Okay. So it's about 130 tons of material a day.
When you say residuals and material, what are we really talking about?
Manure.
Manure, from poop, okay.
Yeah, from 1,000 dairy cows,
right.
450,000 broiler chickens, and 80,000 layer chickens.
So over 500,000 animals' stuff ends up here?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and there's enough readily available feedstock in the Fraser Valley for about 15 facilities like this.
So you're taking waste from the food system and turning it into clean, effectively renewable energy. That's fantastic. That really is awesome.
And makes enough, from phase 1, we'll make enough natural gas for about 1,000 homes.
This sounds too good to be true. Won't people notice that they're heating their homes with cow manure?
Once it's gone through the process, it's chemically indistinguishable. There's no difference between natural gas and the product that we create. We have to achieve exactly the same standard as any fuel that is in the Terracin grid.
Right. So, how does it work?
Basically, we cook it. It's kept at 38 degrees. It's in the vessels for about 42 days.
Right.
And in the domes on top, we distill off methane, which the towers here clean to pipeline quality gas for injection in the local utility grid. Terracin has put a station at the front corner of our property, goes directly into the existing utility grid.
Plants like this are well established around the world, but this is the first in BC. Was it difficult to get it started?
Frankly, without Terracin, this project would never be. We're somewhere around 4.5 years into the project now.
Right.
And from the very beginning, with the feasibility studies, when we made our first contact, they made it very clear they wanted to support this initiative.
Right. And it makes, like we've said, it makes so much sense on so many levels.
It's the right thing to do at the right time, in the right place, for all of the right reasons. And all of the drivers are there for really a fantastic future.
Did you know biogas is a carbon-neutral renewable fuel? Once processed, biogas can be used the same way as natural gas in heating and cooking and as a transportation fuel. Learn more at terracingas.com.
Wasn't that great in the Fraser Valley? I'm absolutely delighted to be in the kitchen today with Tara Teng, the current reigning Miss BC. Tara,
Hi.
welcome to
Thanks, Steve.
our kitchen. So I guess we better get you set up for cooking.
All right, I'm ready.
We've got one of our famous Flavors of the West Coast rookie chef aprons for you. Here, and make sure that clears the tiara.
Okay.
What we're gonna do is a ratatouille tart. A ratatouille is basically a vegetable stew.
Okay.
But in this case, what we're going to do is make it more like a pizza. So it's all the ingredients from a ratatouille, but it's more like a pizza. Pastry is all about the balance of fat to flour. You want the right amount of fat to keep the pastry soft, but you don't want too much so that it's greasy. Now in this case, we're going to use a little bit of all-purpose flour, 3 spoons of flour, and then our hazelnut is going to be 2.5 spoons. These are Fraser Valley hazelnuts. A little pinch of salt and a little pinch of pepper. And then our fat component, and I've got a dish of butter in front of you as well. Because we've got hazelnuts in here, which have their own oil content, you actually reduce the amount of fat a little bit. So traditional pastry is about 2 parts flour to 1 part fat. In this case, we've got a little bit more flour than the fats. So the butter can just go into the dry ingredients, and this is where we get our hands dirty. Because we
Right.
just get in there and just rub that butter into the
This
paste.
is the fun part.
This is the fun part. Just use the tips of your fingers and just squeeze that and rub it between your fingers. What I normally do is just take it in the palm of my hand, and you can just have a look and see if you've got any large blobs of butter, but it looks pretty good. Yours looks pretty good there.
All right.
Now we have to bind it all together. So what we need to do is add just enough water to bring it all together. Your water wants to be as cold as possible. If you use hot water, it's going to melt your butter, and you're not going to get that flaky effect. So probably just pour 2 tablespoons in there, and then take your spoon, and you can just sort of gently bring that together.
Okay.
And you should have a nice soft dough. And then when you're making pastry, you don't want to work it a lot. When it comes together, you want to be as light and delicate with it as possible. Otherwise, what happens is the water and the flour develop gluten, and you end up with tough dough. We're actually going to roll it out directly on the sheet pad. It just makes it easier than trying to move it afterwards. So just put that right in the center of your pan, and then just pat it down. Okay? And then we get our rolling pin, and we're going to finish the job and roll it out. It wants to be about 1/4 centimeter thick. And we could just use our fingers just to make a little edge. And that will just hold any juices that come off the vegetables. I got to congratulate on your winning of the title. What did you have to do to get there?
Well, I went through a series of a lot of different interviews, and then, of course, the classic kind of beauty pageant stuff of wearing evening gowns and all that. But this pageant was really special and really different because we actually didn't have swimwear.
Okay.
Instead, we had sportswear.
Oh,
so
fabulous.
it's a much more wholesome way of representing yourself, because the Miss BC pageant really isn't about what you look like.
Yeah.
It's about who you are and what you represent.
Okay, so now we're going to make our toppings for our ratatouille. So I'll share a pepper with you. I'll take half.
Oh, thank you.
You can have half.
Wonderful.
All you need to do is take the tip of your knife and just run it around the top part here and cut that core out.
Okay.
Now, if you keep the front part of your knife on the board, and just use this back part here, and just drop it down, just like a guillotine. I'm going to take a little spoonful of this is a fresh basil pesto that I made.
And that's just basil?
This is
Nothing
just
else?
basil, olive oil, garlic, and a little bit of Parmesan cheese. And then we can just put some of our pepper on there at the same time. So we're going to put some garlic on our tort as well. So again, using that back part of the knife, very thin slices. You don't need too much on there. We're keeping it fairly thin, and those will give us that nice, subtle, delicate garlic flavors. Next step, you've got a yellow one, I've got a green one. Nice thin strips or slices off of here. And you probably want, say 8 slices, 4 for you, 4 for me. And then we can layer these in alternate colors. So I'm just going to do some of the eggplant here. I'll give you a couple of pieces of those. And the same sort of thing, we'll just slip those in between the layers. So with the tomatoes, we want these to be, we're going to cut these kind of a little bit thicker because they're quite aqueous, and slip them in. A little bit of coarse sea salt, a little bit of black pepper, and we've got some extra virgin olive oil here that we're just going to drizzle over. And that is ready to go in the oven.
Wonderful.
I've got the oven set quite high. It's at 425 because we actually want to roast these. We want some really good fierce heat to cook all the vegetables quick, and cook the pastry as well, because of course the pastry is.
425. Got it.
So if you want to grab yours, slide these in. There we go. Do watch the trays. They're pretty warm there. And they'll take about 20 minutes.
Perfect.
When you're not participating in the pageants, what does Tara Tang do in her free time?
I am a third-year education student at Trinity Western University in Langley, BC. And I'm going into education to be a teacher. I'm specializing in English and Spanish. And I'm a huge human rights advocate. I work with the International Justice Mission.
Oh, wonderful.
And I founded my own charity through my workplace called Undies for Africa. So through that, we collect gently used bras and brand new panties, and we send them to women in Zambia because they don't have undergarments, and it raises their social status, and they're less likely to be raped or sexually abused.
Well, congratulations and very well done on your excellent work.
Well, thanks. We all got a part to play, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I can smell some excellent torts in the oven.
Amazing. I'm getting hungry.
Let's have a look and see if they're done.
All right.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The baking sheets are quite hot, and then what we're going to do, the beauty of these ones is that there's no lip. You can just slip those right off there like that. So now our vegetables are nicely cooked, just starting to caramelize a little bit. All the sweetness is coming through.
Smells
so we're just going to
amazing.
give them
a little more olive oil because again, it'll give them a little bit of shine, and it's a little bit of freshness. A little bit of seasoning on the top because of course what's happened is the salt that we put on originally will have dissolved into the vegetables and done its thing. Whereas now we want a little bit of crunch on there. And we'll just cut these into 4 nice pieces. So I don't know about you, but I think it's about time we tried these.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can just smell all those wonderful fresh vegetables coming through.
Smells incredible.
Are you ready?
Yep.
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, that's good.
Not so fresh.
Wow. I'm amazed that I actually made this.
Absolutely delicious. And those are the flavors of the Fraser Valley. Once again, Rod Phillips from Liquor Plus Wine Merchants, thank you very much for pairing for us today.
Oh, you know, this is exciting. What you've put together here with the hazelnuts and the fresh herbs and the fresh vegetables really presented a bit of a challenge because you got to have that acidity level, but you don't want anything that's going to overpower it. So there's really 3 wines that I've selected here that I think would go really, really well with them. So the first one is probably one of the most popular white wines there is here in BC, and that is Pinot Gris. Pinot Gris is planted almost by everybody here in BC. Yeah. If you put your nose in it, you can almost get a sense of how it's going to feel on the palate. Yeah. And you get that really beautiful pear, like Bartlett pears, a little bit of melon, but it's not overpowering. It's not going to jump out and just scream all over the wine. But it's got that nice minerality, that nice little austere quality. And like again, it would work very well with a lot of the flavors you have mixed in there. One of the other varietals I really like here in BC, and we don't do it enough, I don't think, and that is Pinot Blanc, which is of the same family as the Pinot Gris, and this can have a lot more of the tree fruit characters to it.
Much more full-bodied sense, isn't it?
It does, and the wine itself can have a little bit more of a body.
Right. Kind of got a smokiness to it, doesn't it?
Just, you know, the hazelnuts, you know, this is where, when I first tasted the combination, the hazelnuts really came alive for me, and that's one of my other favorites.
Another excellent choice.
The last one I'm going to show you is the Tinhorn Creek Gewurz, and the Tinhorn Creek Gewurz is an Alsatian-style Gewürztraminer. What I like about this is it's a dry style. There's a lot of Gewürztraminers out there that'll be sweeter. This is of a drier style, and it has a lot of that lychee nut, which is very Alsatian. Yeah. And it's got this comes from the South Okanagan, and therefore it's got a little bit more of a body to it, and it's got a really nice mineral on the palate. Is that luscious?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just it's just it there coating your mouth, isn't it? It's beautiful.
This is one of those wines where if I'm at home and I just need to sit back at the end of the day and sit in a couch and just get that big, warm, caressing feeling, this is what I put in the glass.
Rod, as always, exceptional pairings. They're going to go beautifully with our tart. And that, once again, is the flavors of the Fraser Valley.